African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of November 17, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group liberated the settlement of Dvurechanskoye in the Kharkiv region as a result of active actions. Damage inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized and a ranger brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Alexivka, Platonovka, Dnipropetrovsk, Novaya Sek, and Shevchenkovo in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of motorized infantry, mechanized brigades, and an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Zovnovo, Kolodezno, and Malinovka in the Kharkiv region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 150 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 13 cars, and a field artillery gun. An ammunition depot was destroyed. Units of the West Troop Group improved their position on the front line. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Kurilovka, Petropavlovka, Putnikovo in the Kharkiv region, and Dronovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Assault detachments of the 6th Army continue to destroy encircled formations of the armed forces of Ukraine in the area of the settlement Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region. During the day, 2 attempts to conduct counterattacks were thwarted by units of the 125th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the area of the settlement Blagodetevka in the Kharkiv region, and the 15th National Guard Brigade in the area of the settlement Velikaya Shapkovka in the Kharkiv region, which tried to unblock encircled units. As a result of fire damage, up to 50 Ukrainian servicemen were destroyed. Units of the South Troop Group liberated the settlement of Platonovka in the Donetsk People's Republic as a result of decisive actions. Damage inflicted on formations of 3 mechanized brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Konstantinovka, Regorodok, and Seversk in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 210 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 20 cars, a field artillery gun, 2 electronic warfare stations, and an ammunition depot. Units of the Center Troop Group continue to advance deep into the enemy's defense. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized, 2 airborne assault, ranger brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Artemovka, Belitskoye, Grishino, Kusharovyar, Novo-Alexandrovka, Oktyabrskoye, Rodinskoye, Torskoye in the Donetsk People's Republic, Dmytrov and Ivanovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. In the settlement of Krasnoarmysk, Donetsk People's Republic, assault groups of the 2nd Army continue to destroy encircled formations of the armed forces of Ukraine in the central microdistrict and in the western part of the Gornyak microdistrict, as well as in the territory of the Western Industrial Zone. The clearing of the settlement of Rovno, Donetsk People's Republic, from Ukrainian militants continues. 5 attacks were repelled by units of the 425th Assault Regiment. In the settlement of Dimitrov, Donetsk People's Republic, units of the 51st Army continue offensive actions in the Vostochny microdistrict and the southern part of the city. Assault groups of the 5th Motorized Rifle Brigade are conducting successful combat operations in the area of the Zapadny microdistrict. More than 30 buildings have been liberated. In the past day, up to 290 Ukrainian servicemen, 3 armored combat vehicles, 4 pickups, and a field artillery gun were destroyed in the Krasnoarmysk direction. In total, in the area of responsibility of the Center Troop Grouping, enemy losses amounted to up to 490 servicemen, 4 armored combat vehicles, 8 vehicles, and a field artillery gun. Units of the East Troop Grouping, as a result of decisive actions, liberated the settlement of Guy in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Damage was inflicted on formations of the Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Ostupovskoye, Radysnoye in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Vozdvizhevka and Chervono in the Zaporizhia region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost over 215 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 7 vehicles, and 3 field artillery guns. Units of the Dnipro troop grouping inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of the Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Belogorye, Orkhov, and Stepnogorsk in the Zaporizhia region. More than 80 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 13 vehicles, 2 field artillery guns, 6 electronic warfare stations, an ammunition depot, and 5 supply depots were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groupings inflicted damage on fuel and energy complex facilities and railway infrastructure used in the interests of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, long-range unmanned aerial vehicle storage sites, temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 142 districts. Air defense means destroyed 104 aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 668 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 97,097 unmanned aerial vehicles, 636 anti-aircraft missile systems, 26,071 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,613 multiple launch rocket system vehicles, 31,363 field artillery and mortars, 46,914 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.